Everyone talks about Tony's final scene. The diner, the door, the cut to black. People have been arguing about that ending for almost 20 years. But there's another final scene from that same episode. Quieter, less flashy, no dramatic music cut. And it tells you more about The Sopranos than almost anything else in the whole show. Most people barely noticed it. It's the series finale. Made in America. Tony pulls up to Satriale's. Paulie's at his usual table, catching some sun like he's been doing it his entire life. Tony needs him to take over the April crew, the crew whose last 3 bosses are either dead, in prison, or both. Paulie hesitates. He's superstitious. That crew feels cursed to him. Tony, being Tony, threatens to give the job to Patsy instead. Paulie folds. Tony leaves. And then, for just a few seconds, the camera stays on Paulie, sitting outside Satriale's, alone, in the sun. And that's where it gets dark. Here's what that scene looks like on the surface. Paulie made it. 6 seasons. 86 episodes. More dead bodies than you can count. And Paulie Walnuts is still standing at the end. Still trusted, still running things, still in the tracksuit. While everyone around him got killed, arrested, hospitalized, or flipped, Paulie survived. That sounds like a win. Look at the shot again. The camera pulls back from Paulie and shows you the sidewalk in front of Satriale's. Every other table is empty. Not nobody happened to sit there today empty. Gone empty. Hollow empty. In the early seasons, this place had energy. The crew hanging out, guys stopping by, the whole social heartbeat of the DeMeo family passing through that sidewalk constantly. The noise, the card games, the arguments about nothing. Now it's just Paulie. One man, one table, surrounded by empty chairs. Those empty chairs aren't just art direction. They're a body count. Richie April dead. Jackie April Sr. dead. Ralph Cifaretto dead, literally in pieces. Big Pussy at the bottom of the ocean. Bobby Baglieri shot in a model train store. Christopher suffocated by the man who was supposed to be his family. Paulie didn't just survive. He outlasted all of them. But the world he survived for? Is a sidewalk with empty chairs. And Paulie is sitting at the center of it. King of nothing. What does that shot mean to you? Drop it in the comments. I want your read before I give you mine. Most people watch that final Paulie scene, feel the loneliness, and stop there. But there's one more detail in that shot that most casual viewers miss entirely. The orange cat. Earlier in the final season, after Tony kills Christopher, he holes up in a safe house for a while. There's a stray cat at this place. Orange. Unremarkable except for one thing. It won't stop staring at a photograph of Christopher on the wall. Just sitting there, staring at his face. The crew notices. They get unsettled. Even Tony, the most psychologically armored man in the room, finds it weird. And then, in the finale, that same cat turns up at Satriale's. Did you catch the cat the first time you watched the finale? I'm genuinely curious. Let me know in the comments. Now, why does this matter for Paulie specifically? Paulie and Christopher had a complicated history. Decades of working together, but also years of Paulie being resentful, jealous of how much Tony favored him, dismissive of his sobriety, condescending about everything he cared about. And then Christopher died. And now there's a cat that the show very deliberately frames as Christopher's presence, or at least the possibility of it, sitting at Satriale's, staring, not at Tony, Paulie. That is not an accident. The Sopranos is full of supernatural anxiety, and Paulie is the most spiritually tortured character in the entire show. He can't sleep after hearing about murder victims appearing in near-death visions. He visits a psychic, and when the psychic somehow knows the names of his victims, Paulie hurls a chair at the air and storms out in a panic. He's calculated purgatory like a tax equation. He saw the Virgin Mary at the Bada Bing and Tony laughed in his face. Paulie is haunted, constantly, quietly, privately, and in his very last scene he accepts leadership of a cursed crew, gets pressured into it by Tony, and then sits alone in the ruins of everything he dedicated his life to, while something that might be his dead crewmate stares at him from across the empty sidewalk. That's not a victory lap. That's a sentence. Here's what nobody says out loud about that scene. Tony gave Paulie a choice. Take the April crew, or Patsy gets it, but that was never a real choice. Paulie can't say no to Tony. Not because Tony would have him killed, though maybe, but because saying no would mean admitting the one thing Paulie has never been able to admit in his entire life. That he wants something else. And Paulie doesn't want something else. That's the whole tragic engine of this character. He has nowhere else to go. No wife, no kids, no life that exists independently of being a wise guy. No identity that makes any sense outside this thing of ours. Tony didn't offer Paulie a crew. He offered him proof that he still matters. And Paulie took it, the way a man dying of thirst will drink salt water, because even a poisoned version of the only thing you've ever wanted is better than nothing. So he sits there, alone, at an empty table, in front of a building that used to mean everything, with something that might be a ghost for company. He won. He survived. He's still standing. And survival, it turns out, is its own kind of punishment. David Chase didn't give Paulie an ending. He gave him a continuation. Same tracksuit, same table, fewer faces across from him every year. While Tony walks into a diner and the screen cuts to black, leaving a question the show refuses to answer, Paulie just keeps going. Running a cursed crew, haunted by the dead, sitting alone in the afternoon sun. Underneath everything, The Sopranos was always asking the same question. Who is this life actually built for? Paulie's final scene is the answer. It's built for a man who can't imagine anything else. And that man, the last man standing, ends up the loneliest one of all. So here's what I want you to tell me. Who do you think the orange cat actually represents? Christopher? Pussy? Or is it something else? Paulie's own death, finally arriving and being patient? Tell me your theory in the comments. I'll be down there reading every single one. And if you want more deep dives like this, subscribe. There is a lot more Sopranos left to unpack.